It's always good to be prepared because you never know what you might be asked to do. And so to be ready and to be willing. And I just believe that um, it's good to be willing to do things, even though you weren't really planning on doing them. If you're asked, why not? Why not say yes? Why not do them? And I think when your default answer to opportunities is yes, you get to do some pretty amazing things. When we lived in Haiti, one day, Pastor Paul came by our house and he said, I'm wondering if you would go along with me to a funeral. There's a lady that died back in La Jovanche, and her church is too far away to come and do the funeral. So they asked if we would come and do the funeral for her. So I agreed to do it. So I'm wondering if you go along to help sing. Sure, yeah, I'll go along and help sing. So we went and we started walking, and on the way we stopped by the house of a few more church members, and we picked up some more people to go along to help sing so that we'd have enough of people to sing because the family of this lady wasn't Christian. And so if we were going to have a Christian funeral, we were going to sing, we needed people to sing. So we went up with half a dozen of us, and we got to the house, and the coffin was set up on some chairs outside the house. And so we told the family, okay, we're ready to do the funeral. And so they were drinking, playing dominoes. And so Pastor Paul told them, we're ready to do the funeral. You have to shut down your game here, and so we can do the funeral. So they moved their game over in the cornfield, and we did the funeral, and we were all going through the funeral, we're singing, and then Pastor Paul announced the number of a song, and then he said, now, after this song, Pastor Merle is going to have the message. And so they started singing. I was saying to him, Pastor Paul, you didn't tell me I was going to have the message. Like I did, I'm not prepared to have a message. And I came along to help sing. And he's saying, oh, you can have the message. And I was like, but I don't have anything ready. And he's saying, you don't have to prepare a message, a funeral message. Anybody can preach a funeral message out of 1 Corinthians chapter 15 without preparing it. Okay. So after we sang the song, I had the message from 1 Corinthians chapter 15, and then we told the family, okay, we're finished with the funeral. And so they came back and they were around the coffin, and there was a big argument going on. And I knew it, I couldn't follow what all they were saying because they were shouting at each other, and it was all loud and fast talking. And I knew it had something to do with money, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. I asked Pastor Paul, what's going on? Like, what's the argument about? And he said, well, uh, uh, we don't do embalming, and so this lady passed away yesterday afternoon, and sometimes they had the body in the house overnight, and people were there, and so sometimes a body after it's dead there'll be some moans or some sounds that the body will make, and so they tied a rag around the lady's head under her chin to hold her mouth shut. But it would be very rude to bury a person with their mouth tied shut. So they need somebody to take the rag off. But when you take the rag off and her jaw relaxes, some air might come out of her lungs and she might make a moaning sound, and it just scares people like crazy. And so nobody wants to take the rag off. So they're trying to hire somebody to take it off. They want to pay somebody to take the rag off, and they're negotiating how much they're going to pay somebody to take it off. Well, eventually they got it figured out, and they made an agreement, and somebody agreed to take the rag off, and she didn't make any sound. Everything was fine. And they're getting ready to close up the coffin, and then one of the family members came and put the Bible, put the lady's Bible in the coffin with her. And Madam Pastor Paul just grabbed that Bible and gave it back to them, and she was saying, "You people, you don't know anything. You do not bury a Bible with a person. That's not right. She's finished with that Bible. It's not going to do her any good in her grave. You're the people who need the Bible. You keep that Bible. It'll do something for you. It won't do anything for her. Oh, they were so apologetic. They didn't know you weren't supposed to bury a Bible, and so they took it and closed up the coffin, and then they headed over to the tomb, and they buried the body. Anyway, Pastor Paul was right. You don't have to prepare a message for a funeral if you have 1 Corinthians chapter 15. Anybody can preach a funeral message out of 1 Corinthians chapter 15 without preparation. It just works.